Wiener. Yeah. All 14 of them. Woohoo.
Ed, I sincerely hope there's no crossover.
Welcome, everybody, to our next episode 51 of the Fall Partner Panel. And let's go into our great cast we have today. All right, starting with Ed, Stunt, then Mangoose, and then I'll get in myself. Go ahead and introduce yourself, guys.
I'm Easy Ed. As you can see, I'm Ed. That's all I got. I don't know.
I'm waiting for him to finish. I'm waiting for a PS.
Yeah, I don't know.
All right, what else we get? All right, Stunt, let's go.
What's up, everybody? I'm Stunt, bringing Hollywood action to the gaming arenas.
Nice, getting better with that. I like it.
What's up, everybody on the Mangoose? You are awesome, and I think that in a fair fight, if a sanctioned boxing match, Ed would win against Sockap. Street rules? Sockap, he would mop the floor with you, Ed. I'm sorry. He would mop the floor with you.
Do you know how strong I am?
I don't care how strong you are.
Is this a controversy of the Greystone or
He's
what?
a mountain boy.
Did you call him Adam? Did you sound like you called him Adam? I was like, what?
Huh?
It's madness.
All right. Welcome, everybody. I am the Bearded Wolverine, your Michigan Wonder Fall Partner, and excited to bring this panel to you. Today, we're going to talk a little bit about what's going to be going on these next 11 days coming up here shortly, and how we can benefit from that with Overprime and their closed beta test. So without further ado, let's get into it. What do you guys want to start off at? Who wants to start? Stunt, what do you think?
I don't know. Honestly, I don't know what to think because I wasn't, when it came to Fault and the last stress test we had with Pred, I didn't see numbers dropping that much. We still had quite a few individuals playing the game. It wasn't a significant drop, whereas we've had stress tests for other MOBAs before, and you almost have no players playing Fault. This time, when you were paying attention, there were still a lot of players playing. So I really don't know what to think. I mean, those 11 days, how much if it is going to affect Fault or not. So
you really don't think there was a lot of players dropped off? I mean, I don't know the numbers, but I really felt like there was a significant amount of people, especially not streaming the game.
Streaming, probably not. But as far as Fault Matrix, I could be wrong. I mean, if you guys have a more accurate number, I saw pretty much normal amount of players still playing during the weekend. And I was able to get in a few games too, back and forth.
So Stranger here in chat says there was 18 players on Fault on Saturday night at 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time during the Pred test. He said he remembers seeing it and jaw dropped. So that's definitely a huge drop. You know, there was definitely a drop, Red Clown. Yes, I agree. So, and that's my point. Like, so that was 3 days on a weekend, right? So do you guys think that all 11 days for this closed beta test for Overprime, that we're going to see this huge drop for the whole time, or do you think there's going to be a fluctuation, people going back and forth?
I think for the first couple days, it's going to be pretty Pred related again. Very similar to that. I think there's going to be a pretty significant drop off, but I mean, obviously it's not a huge deal because everyone knows, hey, this is a limited time thing. Everyone wants to go play it. But towards the end of it, I think people are going to kind of get a little burnt. And then at like the very last day is going to be another really slow Fault day. But I don't think it's going to be a full 11-day effect, but it's definitely going to have a pretty good hindrance for the very beginning and then the very end.
Sure.
Yeah, I agree. I agree with Easy Ed. Like at first, it'll drop off. People will filter back into Fault and then filter back over to Overprime. It'll just happen. The thing about Fault is what Fault has that nobody else has is an actual progression system through mastery skins, account levels, earnable income towards skins, stuff like that. And that subconsciously draws people back. Like if you're on the cusp of getting a skin, like you may be enjoying Overprime, but you're like, well, let me go get just a couple games of Fault in so I can get this skin that I've been wanting or something like that. So I think that will bring people back somewhat to Fault, but yeah, there's definitely going to be a huge fall off that initial weekend.
Yeah, I agree. Especially the initial weekend it's definitely going to be there. But I think the one good thing that with the 11 days is you have time to get out of that honeymoon phase or lose the rose-colored glasses, and you're able to see some of the issues that Overprime's going to have. Like, it's not going to come out perfect. We all know that. So you're going to be able to see that, and then that's going to get people to be like, okay, hey, I'm going to go back and play Fault because I think I have more fun with that. There's going to be people that they're going to do that. So you're going to see that increase in the middle of the week. And like I agree with what Ed was saying is that you're going to have towards the end, like, hey, let's get the last few games in because they're close the servers down, and who knows the next time we're going to be able to play.
And then the other thing with Overprime is you don't know if a lot of these players are gonna like the brawliness of the game. It's different when you have two games like Predecessor and Fault that are similar, like more MOBA, and then you have a game that's more on the brawly side, faster paced, less hours, you know what I mean? So that can make a difference. That can make a difference in these 11 days.
For sure.
Outside of that, though, they could like it better.
Yes, yeah, anything is possible, you're right.
I think you'll have it both ways. I don't think Fault will completely lose their player base, but they'll definitely lose it at first, and it's completely to be expected.
Yeah.
Because like people are saying in chat, it's like a limited time thing. Like, why wouldn't you play it while you can?
Exactly.
I mean, it being 11 days, I think people are going to be a little more lenient on that, and that's why there won't be as much of a drop off. But also the other thing, Overprime, a vast majority of their players are Eastern on the Asian servers, so that's another thing that might. I don't think it's going to be as bad with Overprime as it was with Predecessor.
Yeah, I don't think so either, just because the fact that it is 11 days. Like, you don't have that, like, I need to play this now because I only have X amount of time. Like, you're like, oh, I got 11 days. I can play a little bit this weekend. I can play a little bit on Wednesday. I can play a little bit, towards the end of the weekend. Like, you don't have to, like, cram it in to get that to scratch that itch. You can play it, throughout the time and be okay. So, I agree though. Like, I think it's not going to be as bad or as drastic. But I do worry that there's going to be a lot of, like you were saying, Goose, is that people may like it. And then people are like, you know what? This is more of what I want. Like, Fault right now has a low enough player base as it is. If we lose more because they prefer that style of game, if we drop more, then that's going to be a little detrimental for us, because we can't lose very much more of a player base. Like we're pretty low as it is right now.
I think if anything, it'll be beneficial for Fault, just like the Predecessor stress test was beneficial for Fault. It brought eyes in. People that had no idea that there was anybody making a Paragon game got drawn in by Pred, and as they're looking at everybody's content for it and people mention Fault, even if it's in a bad way, they understand that Fault exists, and that has brought more people into Fault. And I think the Overprime stress test it'll do the exact same thing, because it is for a limited time and people are going to get the taste, taste for the old third person MOBA back in their mouth, and they're going to be willing to try out Fault. Unfortunately, from what I'm hearing from a lot of my subscribers and a lot of people in Discord and such, is that they are trying Fault and then getting fucking blasted by the Fault community. Just everybody, we all know that there's going to be toxicity, and we all know that Pred and Overprime, that toxicity wasn't there because it is such a short time, and it's the honeymoon phase with those games.
Yep.
But that doesn't excuse Fault's toxicity, right? Like, we know that the other games are going to be toxic as well, but that's no excuse for toxicity in general. So that's going to drive a lot of people away from Fault, I think. I wish people would learn how to just use their goddamn mute buttons. Like, if you don't like what somebody's saying, don't fucking engage with them and let it get to you. Just goddamn mute them and move on.
Exactly. I mean, either mute them or just ignore what they're saying in general. Like, I don't use the mute button. I don't. but I just I'll read what's going on, and it's just all right because I more or less get a laugh out of it, And I don't even when I'm playing, my camera's over it, so even it's not even for my stream to see it. Like my stream doesn't actually get the benefit of seeing what's being said because there's things that can be said. Well, not now. Now they have that new filter, you can't say some of the bad stuff on there, but like I've always had it there just to kind of cover that and be like, hey, I won't allow this to be on my stream, but it's just more of I see it as I get to laugh at it, or I might, I'll try to use it to, help newer players out or, engage or try to calm down the toxicity towards the newer players. Like, hey, they're new, leave them alone type thing, but I don't know, like either have the thick skin and not worry about it, or like you said, use the mute function, like literally like, just mute everybody. Don't worry about it. Go in there, try to get better at the game.
I think Fault has the biggest advantage over all the other MOBAs right now, in the sense that let's say people do like Overprime, right?
Right.
Overprime hasn't given us a release date, early access, nothing like that. So those individuals that like Overprime are not going to sit at home twiddling their thumbs waiting for Overprime to come out. They're going to come back to Fault and play Fault because it's the only playable MOBA they have. That's based off of our, I don't know how, like a turnaround from Paragon or whatever, right? And if Fault continues making these improvements that they've been making, especially with the patches we've been getting and the improvements we've been getting in the game, you never know. People might just change. People might just decide, hey, you know what? It's worth giving this game a try. That advantage of being the only playable MOBA is huge for them right now.
But you're actually wrong with that statement. They're not the only playable MOBA. You got Smite, you got League of Legends, you got Dota. Like you have other playable MOBAs that you can play. Like
what I mean is, if those games were going to kill Fault, they would have done it already. But if people are playing Fault now and they play Overprime, and they like it more, they're still going to come back and play Fault for the time being until Overprime gives them an initial date.
No, I understand what you're saying, and I'm not saying you're completely wrong, but I'm just saying there is that, like, if somebody's dealing with toxicity of Fault because they're like, let's say, hey, I really want to play the Paragon characters, right? So I'm just going to fight through this toxicity, and then they go in and they play Overprime and they prefer that style of play, then there's really almost no benefit in a sense to really playing Fault in that regard, because it's a different style of play and how it works. So you could just literally just like, you know what, I'm just gonna go over here and just play Smite until Overprime comes up, because I'm just gonna keep up with this and then go over there. Like that's something that could be done. I'm not saying like there's higher chance of what you're saying is there. I'm just saying there is a possibility people are like, you know what, this game is what I like, the way this is playing, I prefer this, and this is what I'll wait for. And then they'll go play Elden Ring or whatever that other game is, just something to pass time until they get, till they're able to do something.
Sure. In a more negative light, how shitty is it that Fault benefits from predecessor and Overprime releasing beta tests and stress tests? Like they're in a position right now where nobody knows about them, but they know about predecessor and they know about Overprime. And the predecessor stress test and the Overprime stress test are going to bring players into Fault. That's kind of a shitty position to be in to start with, but they are in that position and they can take advantage of this.
Yes.
I think one of the things that's actually going to drive people from these stress tests to play Fault is watching how Fault players play in these tests. Because you can definitely tell the difference between somebody that played Paragon but hasn't played anything since, or played Paragon, maybe picked up a MOBA or Smite or some shit since, and then you encounter a Fault player and they're got like 42 fucking kills and they're moonwalking past everybody and doing fucking somersaults on your grave. Like they realize that everybody that's been playing Fault has been doing this shit and they're getting good at these fucking games, and it translates over. Like I'm below average Fault player. But whenever I get to the predecessor stress test or the Overprime stress test, I am just fucking destroying people because I'm used to, yeah, exactly. I'm used to going up against really, really good players that are very experienced. So I think that's one thing that will draw people to Fault is they're like, maybe they want to play predecessor more. Maybe they want to play Overprime more, but they're going to realize they need to fucking practice if they want to be good.
And I also think out of all these para-zombies, Fault is probably the hardest learning curve out of all of them. For some reason, Overprime and Predecessor kind of hold your hand. You know what I mean? If you compare the learning curve with Fault and Overprime, I think Fault is a harder learning curve right now. That's why after playing Fault and experiencing that, it was easier for us to go into Pred and Overprime and kick ass, especially when we were 5-stacking. Especially with that, when you had a 5-stack going.
I agree. Fault has the highest learning curve. What I don't know though is Overprime. Like Overprime, it's been a while since I played. We did that last closed beta, but so I can't really remember. But I remember I was trying to understand how the game, because it's different. Like you only have one tower instead of 2 towers with an inhib. And you have all the different jungle stuff going on. I've never done prime dunking, so that was my first time doing prime dunking. So I had a lot, I was trying to understand what was going on with Overprime. I think once you understand what's going on with Overprime, then yeah, I could agree that it's Fault has the higher skill level going on there. But I don't. Pred was definitely the easiest out of all 3 of them when you just jump in and playing it.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
Well, a lot of those guys too have when they were talking and stuff, they were like, yeah, this is my first MOBA I've ever played. I just saw it. A bunch of people are playing it, figured I'd give it a shot. So, that was a big part of it too. But just as you guys say too, you can definitely tell who's been gaming. And there's even people who play Fault who are really, not that spectacular. And I had them in some of my games and they popped off. They just played really well. And it's it's just kind of cool to see them do well and everything, because in Fault they definitely struggle a bit, but comes full circle. But I don't know, a big issue with the Pred one was just there's no MMR, so everybody who has any experience just looked really good because they're playing newbies, first time go arounds.
Yeah.
That's my concern now about the Overprime stress test, because talking to them, I do believe they are going to have an MMR in the Overprime closed beta test. And I'm very concerned that it's going to end up, I'm going to be facing the same goddamn Fault players.
Yeah.
Playing Fault all the time. By the end of this shit.
We'll just spend the first couple days just alt F4ing and then good. Yeah, really tank that shit.
Yeah. Well, let's jump into the benefits. How is Fault going to benefit from this? So what do you guys think Fault can do to really benefit in this situation?
I think they need to take this opportunity to market to the Eastern audience and bolster their Asian servers. Because Overprime, that's one thing Overprime is doing. They're bringing in a lot of players that never played Paragon in the Eastern servers, though, not so much in North America or Europe. And so there's obviously a market there, and they have a playable game that's 24-hour live service. I think they should do a bit of a marketing push in Asia while Overprime's going on.
Yeah. So Shinbi's next hero is what you're saying?
Did you call her Shitby?
Shinbi. I said Shinbi.
Okay. All right. I was about to come through the screen.
I know I mentioned this to you, Bearded, but I do think it would be a perfect opportunity and a perfect time to release that new hero that they want. Not just a marketing standpoint, don't get me wrong, but reward the players that are going to stick around and play Fault. Give them that opportunity. Release it, because I'm pretty sure they're going to go with the fan favorite. You know what I mean? And maybe that might still bring in some players that might switch off from Overprime to Fault. Might bring in new players, but I do say release that new hero. Don't wait for the 11 days to pass before you release him or her or whatever you're releasing.
I don't know if I agree with that.
I disagree. I disagree with it.
I would highly go against marketing a new hero in the peak of another company's like high point, you know, because I mean, obviously down the road, yeah, they're competitors, but people aren't going to really care too much about the new hero that Fault drops because they go, okay, well, I'll just play that when this is done. Who cares? You know, I've only got 8 more days to play Overprime.
Yep.
I can play the new hero as soon as this is over, and I'm going to, you know, or maybe even sooner because they get a little burnt out and it saves them a day or two. But I personally would be super against dropping a big event like that in the high point of another deal. And like one thing I've noticed and I've heard before too with Fault is they don't put their time frames on anything that has to do with the other two, you know, and you got to respect them for that too. But then at the same time, kind of go, maybe you should market a little bit more. But I don't know. One thing Mitch or Rugged does when we play other games is his name is literally playfault.com. So shout out Mitch on that because that's fucking hilarious and I love it. So maybe we all just have accounts like that and then they go, oh, what's Fault? And then we just market ourselves, you know?
That's one way of doing it.
Right. That is one way of doing it. I disagree with that marketing strategy stunt. And here's the reason why. We just, stats that we had, during Pred's 3-day weekend, Saturday, it dropped down to 18 people, right? So, yeah, so what are you going to keep? 5 more? Let's say 10 more? So 28 people get to benefit playing this one hero that we released early, and the other people are just going to play it 3 days later. There's no benefit there. What I think you should do is if we're going to come out with a new hero during that time frame, let's say the new hero is ready to go, I think you advertise, you start leaking the new hero, like here, like a tease. Here's a teaser during those 11 days, like drop a couple teasers through those 11 days, like every other day or whatever, every 2 days, drop a teaser of a new hero and then release that hero after the 11 days. And then everybody that was seeing those teasers that was a part of the Overprime, closed beta test will then want to try that new hero and come over to Fault and play that way. I think that's the best way to take care of that.
Plus, if they dropped a new hero, what would happen? Like, we know Overprime has a whole stable of fucking heroes that are ready to go in the game right now.
Right.
Like, Overprime's been around a lot longer than people seem to think.
Yeah.
What happens if they play that fucking Uno reverse card and like Fault's like, here's Iggy and Scorch, and then Overprime's like, yeah, we got him too. Fuck you.
Yeah.
And they would do it too. Like,
I mean,
I don't know if you remember.
Just bring out a patch and put one more in.
I don't know if you remember when Soli first came out, they said, we don't think the other two companies are doing a good enough job of making a Paragon successor. So we're going to come in here and do it right. They will talk shit. They will throw down.
Yep. For sure. I mean, you wouldn't be able to understand it because it'd be in Korean, but they'll talk shit. So
just turn off the subtitles and you'll be fine.
Just mute them.
I'm gonna start typing like I did in Pred. Holy shit! A couple of those AFKers were my fault. My bad, guys.
Ed, how do you? I know you're partnered with Fault, right? So you kind of mentally tell yourself. How do you control yourself? Because I know you're that person that just wants to literally talk trash or be toxic in the game. So how do you control yourself in Fault when you just like went ham in Pred?
He puts tallies on the wall. He marks every time he wants to be toxic.
A lot of this.
You drink ice hole to keep yourself calm during Fault games?
That is an empty bottle of caramel schnapps.
But is that for Pred or is that how you keep yourself calm for Fault? I'm trying to figure out what you're saying.
I drank that whole thing last Sunday or Saturday, just in a 3-hour setting.
Gotcha.
That would make me so sick.
Right?
Didn't feel great. It tasted great. Didn't feel great. Yeah. I don't know. Not a lot of it's like not not all of it's just too bad, but there are definitely times when I go, okay, I'm representing somebody here. I got to just shut the hell up. But at the same time, I do that at work too. You know, I have a hard time biting my tongue, but I have to.
All right. So with the pred stress test, I mean, nothing came out officially, right? So that we don't know for sure, but it would be safe to assume that SMS was able to see some things with the pred stress test and get some pointers and be able to help improve their game eventually down the road, seeing what pred was like, correct? What do you guys think that SMS should try to get from the Overprime closed beta test here coming up here? What do you think they should try to pull? I mean, we know their skin game's on fucking point, right? Yeah. So like, what are things that you think they should look at Overprime and how they run and try to pull that and make that their game improve from there as well?
If anything, they need to learn from Soul Leave's marketing, because their marketing is fucking fantastic. And like I said, they've been able to attract players that are not para refugees. They don't have to fucking rely on that audience. Fault needs to do that too. Maybe that involves also diverging strongly from the Paragon formula, but I don't know. I don't think they should go as far as Overprime has gone, and they have done things that are different from Paragon, but yeah, the whole marketing thing, like Soul Leave's marketing is just so much better than either predecessor or Fault right now.
Yeah, I agree.
Take some tips from that. Look at what they're doing and fucking copy. Shame.
Yeah.
If it works, do it.
I mean, look at the like automobile companies, right? You take a Ford F-150, a Dodge Ram, and a Chevy 1500, and you look at those trucks, and they're almost identical to how they look. Like they literally, it's the whole market. Hey, look how they copy the frames and how everything looks. Like it's not wrong to copy something else. So yeah, I completely agree. Copy the marketing scheme, what they're doing, and go off with it. Stunt, what do you think they should? Or Ed, go ahead.
I think the big thing that they should keep an eye on is what heroes are being used the most. You know, and then kind of get a viewpoint of, okay, well, let's just say, Rampage is a great example because it was in predecessor and in Overprime, not in Fault yet. Everybody wants Rampage. He's just a super fun hero. He's really exciting to play. In this meta, he would be absolutely disgustingly fun to play as, not against. But that is one thing that they should maybe keep an eye on, is just the hero count.
Yeah. No, I agree. The problem, I would argue against that in the sense though of Rampage, because I think we're in too much of a tank meta as it is, and I think that needs to change. We need to get out of that tank meta.
That was just an example given.
Right, no, I got you, but I'm saying, but if we bring Rampage in, then that's going to be like, oh gosh, like that's going to be the hard part. So that's, and that sucks, because I know a lot of people want to play Rampage, right? So, and then your only ways of doing that right now would be Pred and Overprime, and because he's not in Fault, and if we bring him into Fault, that just kind of boosting that tank meta, and we don't want to do that, in my opinion. So
that would suck for us, but should Strange Matter give a good goddamn about the meta? They should care about gaining players.
But yeah, I do think they should care about what how we feel or how we're doing, because if it's not fun, if you're not enjoying the game, then you're going to lose the player base as it is. The game has to be fun. And if we're stuck in a tank meta and the tank meta gets even worse by putting Rampage in, then it's going to be even less fun. And we're just going to be like, okay, what's the point of this? Like that. And then it's going to drive people away. And you don't want to drive people away at the player base as low as it is right now. So we got to do things to keep people to enjoy it and think it's still fun. So that's where I agree. Yes, I would say yes, they need to think about how we feel about that.
There's a couple ways you can go with it too. You can look, I think that's a great idea, looking at what heroes are popular in the other games and then trying to implement them in default. The other thing to do is to look at who they don't have in the other games and then implement them.
Yes.
I I mean, a lot of people are saying that Iggy and Scorch is probably next for Fault. I think that would be a great addition because that's a cult favorite hero, and it would give us another mage to play with. A very different type of hero to play with overall. Just a straight up area denial hero. We just don't have that really, other than Gadget, and she's not completely area denial.
She's so shit.
Yeah.
I like Gadget.
Oh, Mike even said, or putting a cleave bruiser items in a bruiser tank meta. Like, yeah, like you just really just made it even more of that meta. Frenzy brings up, about bringing original heroes. What are you guys' thoughts on Fault bringing original heroes in?
Let's wait till we get the other ones out first that are already, they got the kits for, they got the assets for, they got everything set up. If people are complaining now about things taking too long, imagine completely creating a new hero all on your own. I mean, I feel as if maybe the other games might have a chance because they're much larger studios. But as far as Fault being the small mom and pop shop, you could almost call them, because, they're self-funded, everything else. Like just a small business compared to the big corporation one, you're going to have a much longer turnaround on any new assets or new heroes and items and stuff. So I wouldn't be pushing a new, completely new hero. Use what's in front of you first, for sure.
Stun.
Yeah, they just don't have the money for it.
No, I mean, remember when I mentioned back when we were talking about free to play, and I said the original hero before doing it? You guys had a good point when you said that kind of leaves the Paragon players out. You know what I mean? Because they want to see these Paragon heroes come out first before an original hero is released. But as far as what they should be looking for, I agree with Mangus. The marketing is number one. And number two, common issue that everybody talks about is that travel time. 3 games have 3 different speed, like travel times.
Yeah.
If you look at that, see what people think about having a travel time like Overprime does. Or if they want a standard travel time from predecessor, or if they like the boot system from Fault. That would be something I would pay attention to, because visually Fault's doing great. They're starting to clean up their visual effects. They're starting to clean up all that, the animation and all of that other stuff. I would just probably talk about what usually gets talked about most, or pay attention to what gets talked about most. And it's that travel time. Do we need boots?
Well, off that comment, we definitely can't do the Overprime travel time. Like the map is way too small to do that. Like ganks would be insanely, like, as an ADC main, I would hate that. Like I would literally have to sit on a tower the whole time, because I can see the junglers on the other side of the map, but he's gonna be here in no time, so there's no point in me pressing out. I'm just gonna sit here and freeze lane the whole time, and hopefully eventually they'll crash. The minions will crash the tower and do enough damage to take the tower down, because I will not. Ganking would be way too easy with that. But I agree that looking at the travel time, because that's something like I noticed coming from Overprime, the last closed beta test, to back to Fault, as I really felt really slow, and you're obviously going to feel that it's completely different. And I still noticed it even with Pred. Like I'm like, man, there's just the speed's different, and I think it's just that change. But you also got to get that feel of how it feels, good for your game. But when it comes to original hero, I agree with what Ed was saying, but I'm not saying that I don't have faith in SMS, but I don't think the way that the community looks at SMS right now, if they come out with original hero, and let's say this original hero is just completely busted, right? Almost like the Boris treatment, right? Because Boris was almost like an SMS original hero because nobody's seen him before then, right? So if it comes in completely busted, and it's just going to look like they, I don't know, it's going to look bad on them. And you want to have that good balance, and you want to show that you can keep on coming out with heroes, a good group of heroes consistently, and then come out with your original hero. I think that'll be different as well. All right. Travel mode would be nice on a newer, bigger map. Yes, so Frenzy said that the travel mode would be nice on a newer, bigger map. The new map is supposed to be bigger, so that would help that as well, and it could be something that would work there. But that's something we'd have to wait until that new map drops, and we don't know when that's going to happen.
One thing I would like to see Strange Matter adjust, if they can, would be field of view. That's one thing I've definitely preferred in Predecessor and Overprime is the field of view. It's a little more back from the character. For some reason, I just like that better. I can't really explain why. Maybe it's because it's more Paragon feeling, and I just have that Paragon in my blood. But the camera's just right up your ass in Fault. I don't know. I think a lot more people would be attracted to the game if the field of view was more similar to Paragon.
Similar to so what game were you saying had the better field of view?
Both Overprime and Predecessor.
Really? Because I had a lot of people complaining about Pred, like you literally were zoomed in on Pred. Like really? Yeah. I saw a lot of people make those comments. Like it literally, like it felt like your character was taking up the majority of the screen, because especially if you're playing like a Sevarog.
Fucking UI took up a majority of the screen. I don't know about the character. Their UI was fucking shite.
Right.
I never really cared about UI until
that was pointed out to you, right? Pred way more zoomed in on Pred versus Fault. D Trigger says.
Really?
So,
I think so.
Yeah. So. No, I think that's something they should look into. What I think that they should look when they go into Overprime, the biggest thing is definitely marketing. That's something to see how they do their marketing for the weekend and how things are going through the weekend too. Because they're going to be doing stuff through the weekend, and see how they handle that. That's going to be something they should definitely look into. But I agree with Ed though. I think it's heroes and how heroes are used, and how heroes are perceived. And go with that. What I also think is they need to look at, just me being an ADC main, look at, what's his name? Shade, also known as Revenant, and not have his not have his reload on a fucking ability, all right? Have it be an automatic thing, all right? Look at Overprime and don't copy that, all right? Change it up. That's annoying as all hell. So, sponsor streams is a good way to market. Yes, there are those ways to market. Right now, Fault has not done anything marketing wise, at least to my knowledge. Nothing. I mean, unless you guys know something, but I don't know anything. Only marketing I've seen them do is pretty much social media. So,
I made a video.
Yeah, so they haven't done anything marketing wise.
Really good video, though, dude. Holy shit. I'm hot as fuck. I don't know what to tell you.
So, yeah. No, so what was it? Mike said up top here that what are you guys' thoughts on the chat? The way chat's been functioning, though, now that we've been able to play the new patch and how that's been working. What are you guys' thoughts there?
I love Fault.
A lot more people love me now than they did before.
Yes. I honestly like the new chat thing. Mercutio says, all right, that's good to hear. Good to hear. So I haven't really noticed it, to be honest with you, but maybe I just don't pay attention, or people find ways around it or something. I'm not seeing anything bad, going into the couple games that I played though. So, and Mike also said that a new support and a new ADC would do wonders. I completely agree. I think that's really what we're lacking. We've got a lot of mids, we've got a lot of jungle solos, but we don't have much.
A lot of jungle solo.
A lot of jungle. Like I think everybody's a jungle solo. Like you just we'll put anybody in here. That's a topic I want to talk to you guys about. What are you guys' thoughts on everybody being able to use every item? Do you think that's something that should limit or do you think that's are you okay with that? What are you guys' thoughts on that?
I'm gonna take it from Menace's mouth. It shouldn't be like that. It shouldn't be where you can literally almost play any hero in solo lane. We were talking about this too. He says it bothers him that you can use any item you want for any role. He said items should be specifically for whatever role you're playing or whatever hero you're playing. I don't know if you guys agree.
Ed, thoughts?
The part that kind of gets me a bit is how almost every single hero benefits from like either bioinfuser or stim gauntlet or something of that sort. I think those items are just significantly overpowered, especially for the fast cooldowns that you have and everything else. I mean, look at Fang Mao, for example, or Crunch. Crunch is a better example. His ability is by the time that you get to like level 10 are on a 5 to 6 second cooldown. So you can just absolutely cycle all of your stuff, your whole kit through and through, never really have any issues. If you're cycling properly, you should be able to consistently use your stim gaunt procs. And I think that's just too much. But almost every hero with enough CDR, because there's plenty of CDR in the game, can just constantly spam abilities and do free damage like that. And I think that's just really overwhelming. I think those items need to work more specifically on certain heroes and builds compared to every single hero can drop it and just do a disgusting amount of damage. I think Bioinfuser is almost specifically perfect for Kallari as, the assassin that she is, but you never see anybody using the magic side of it, I don't even remember what the hell it's called because I never build it and nobody ever does. But there needs to be more balance on the items before they just consistently continue to get out of hand, because it's just disgusting. And that's the reason that we're in this brawler meta is like Stim Gaunt is just too much. It's just way too fucking much.
Yeah.
I think
Goose,
also
what are your thoughts?
too with like a lot of people complain about ranged off lane, like mages in the off lane and all that. The big problem in Fault is people pussy out in fucking F1 at the drop of a goddamn hat. And that's when you have a bruiser in the off lane, that means you have another front line, which means you're going to win late game team fights easier. But people just fucking F1 before that. So I think that situation would resolve itself if people would just stop quitting. I don't think
I could see that.
Morgash and Bellica offlane is nearly as much of an issue as it should be.
Yeah. So who was it that said it here? Somebody said it. Let me scroll up here real quick. I think it's more of a hero balance issue than an item accessibility issue. Reward the heroes for building to their strengths. If you restrict items, So basically, is there a way that they can, if you use almost like getting a benefit, if you actually play that hero in their role, right? So if I'm playing Murdoch ADC, I get a little bit more of a boost than I would normally if I play Murdoch solo, or if I play Murdoch jungle, or if I play Murdoch mid, whatever, like, is there something that they could implement that would be like, all right, if you play this hero in the right spot, you're going to get this boost, but if you don't, it's almost like not worth it to do that.
Yeah, there's like a hindrance or like a crutch that you get. Like you don't get like the full ability of it or something.
Is there something that they could do to implement that to stop, to not like stop it, but like limit the weird?
Should they though? Should they limit it? I mean, you're taking away something from the player.
Right, exactly.
Punish them for playing off meta picks. Like a lot of people, that's how they want to play the game. They paid for the game just like I did. If they want to fucking take Murdoch mid, then they have every right to take Murdoch mid.
Yeah.
And if that shit works, that's the jungler's fault. That's your jungler's fault.
Yeah, pretty much. Cranky has a really good point though of like playing an ADC in solo. You just don't have a support. So if you're ever just caught out, you're dead. And there's no really saving you in that. Because I mean, how tough is it to fight like a box of 1v1 or a 1v2 if you don't have your support there, or the jungle comes out of nowhere and just attacks you? At least your support has some peel for you, because you're just a glass cannon. You can't out damage two people rushing at you.
I guess that could be the issue. It's more of the people, and I know me and Magus, we talk about it when we game together, so we know that's what needs to be done. But I guess it could be more of the issue of people not understanding how to combat against it, because like you have junglers mentalities, that when they're a jungler, solo lane should be able to stay there by themselves and just control lane and be okay. Just, don't feed, right? And then I'm going to take care of mid, and I'm going to take care of dual lane, and then, occasionally I'll come over and help out occasionally, right? But if you have that solo laner, let's say a Grux going up against a ranged off laner, a Morgash or a Murdoch or a Grim, then you kind of need to show more love to that lane and help your solo laner get ahead of that ranged off laner, because that's where once that ranged off laner gets ahead, that's when you can start having that that snowball effect. So how can we train the community to know that if you're a jungler, you need to kind of focus that lane a little bit more than you would normally ignore it?
Well, I tried to tell him, and now every time I tell him, it says, "I love Fault. You're doing a great job." SMS is great. Yeah.
So what you're saying
really clearly.
So what you're saying, Ed, is we need voice comms so you can tell them and not have the chat actually block out what you're saying.
That's a slippery slope, my friend.
That's what my solo laner meant by "I love you."
Yeah. So he didn't mean it.
Somebody in chat said maybe balancing the heroes. That would definitely be an option. You know what I mean? To a point where if you still want to take Murdoch out into the jungle and play Murdoch jungle, that's fine. But his abilities or his numbers compared to jungle would be a lot lower. You know what I mean? It'd be a little more challenging.
Right.
What do you guys think of that? Balancing them enough where if you're an ADC, you're supposed to go to the dual lane. If you're going to go play something else, you're going to have a bit more of a challenge to fulfill that lane.
Well, that's just kind of inherent in the kits.
Yeah.
And again, if Murdoch jungle works, that's your jungler's fault.
Right. No, yeah, I agree with you. I agree with what you're saying. Like, I guess it just comes down to people understanding how to counter the situation in regards. But what about like what are the things we're talking about, items and how items should not be allowed or should they be allowed type thing? What about like the cleave items on a ranged character? Like, by technicality, you've just been thinking about it, like it shouldn't work, but it is working. Like with a Murdoch Buckshot, you're getting cleave damage off of that. By a Sparrow Ultimate, you're getting cleave damage off of that. Like, shouldn't that be something that should only be limited to melee characters, or am I wrong for feeling that way?
Are you getting cleave stuff off of it? Like,
this is,
I've never tried it because I just, in that one instance, I mean, I guess it doesn't make too much sense.
I've never tried it myself. I've seen people say this, all right? So I'm only taking the word of the community.
I know the active works.
Right. Well, the active should work. Yeah. The active should work, but that's not cleave. Right. But I'm talking about like you're getting, from my understanding, with the buckshot, because you're hitting multiple targets, just like when you're a melee character and when you're Grux and you're swinging, and we're doing the whole Carlton again, right? When you're doing that, you're getting cleave damage because you're actually hitting multiple targets. Well, with the buckshot, you're hitting multiple targets. With Sparrow's ultimate, you're hitting multiple targets. So, to my knowledge, from what the community is saying, is the cleave damage is actually working with that as well. You're getting that 35% increase.
I'm going to have to test this, because if that were true, then you could put the cleave item on Gideon and get extra damage out of your fucking Cosmic Rift.
Possibly.
I've heard other players who've tried it, and they say only the active works. The cleave portion of it does not work.
Yeah, I highly doubt it. If it does work, then that's a bug that needs to be reported.
Okay. So If it doesn't work, you guys are still okay with it being on a ranged character.
If it does work,
if it doesn't, like if that's not how it works, if let's say it doesn't, you know, you're only getting just the active out of it, like you're not getting that extra cleave damage.
If
I'm okay with it.
yeah, if an ADC wants to waste one of their 6 item slots on only an active, fine by me. I'll take a.
Well, it's not only an active. You're still getting pretty good stats with that.
You're getting your stats and stuff, but the passive on it is just horrendous. I would much rather take like an actual ADC item over it, you know, over like an active that's gonna heal him for a little bit and then do some damage that isn't gonna matter. Because with me as an ADC, if we're boxing, I'm not close to you. You know, I'm not standing right on top of you.
That just seems like a funky thing that would work against some noobs, and you fucking destroy them, and then you post a YouTube video about how the cleave item is overpowered on ADCs, and it was just a once in a lifetime thing.
Right.
Like,
so, I mean, I'll be honest with you. I was doing it just because I was trying to make a YouTube video. I went into, I was like, oh, I'm going to try to do an all blades build, right? So like with Predecessor, I did an all bow build, right? So if it was either an arrow or a bow, I put it and I did that. I did pretty well with it, right? So I'm like, all right, well, I can't do that in Fault because there's really only the GD crossbow and Magus crossbow, right? So I can't. All right, only building 2 items, guys, and then the rest of them are just Magus bolts. Like that's all I got, you know. Like so, like all right, what can I do? I can't. Guns, you can just get enough in, I think, because you have the Slayer and the other one that you can't build together.
DB rifle.
Yeah, DB rifle, right? You can't build them together. So, like the blades one is the one you can get like enough of them going because you got the purple items, you got, you know. So I was like, all right, but I can use the cleave. So I tried building it a couple times. Like it was like I won like 4 matches trying to do it, and I just I don't know if it was just a bad day for me because I actually went like 0-7 that day. I really was having a bad day. Like so, I'm like, all right, I don't know if it was just a bad day or if the items aren't working or how, you know, it doesn't fit, you know, the build, or GD crossbow is just that big. And that's another thing. I think we need more items because like literally as an ADC, like you have to build GD crossbow. Like it is a must for you to have that item. Because when you don't build it, like it's like you're either having a good match just because like who you're playing against, but if you're playing against an actual good team, like you need GD crossbow. It's like a must have, and we need other items to stop us from having that.
Yep. Because then you have the counterpoint of that too, of like I want to build my build how I do my build. Great example of one of those folks is actually Windu, who does some very off meta builds who just kind of seem to work every now and then. You know, I think he was one of the first people that, you know, said, hey, going straight AD, like with or not AD, but Pen as a carry is a really good idea. And then Sword of Souls kind of just popped off, and it's like, oh shit, maybe he's onto something there. So having like the different options for your build is great, but I mean, I agree to a point that there needs to be more staple cards like Titan Slayer and GD crossbow are probably your main 2. Like you could argue fire cannon and stuff though as well.
Yep. Yeah, my build
way
go ahead.
to diversify items so that people pick according to their play style is to not have everything sunk into damage, like not have every passive or active related to damage. Maybe it's move speed, maybe it's, I don't know, some kind of dash or something. I don't know how you would do that, but like with everything tied to damage, you're just going to take what gives you the most damage.
Yeah, that's true.
So we brought up before, Mangoose, when we were talking like the pred stress test they had, right? We talked about how their items, they had a lot of unique items that were great, right? I don't remember Overprime items to be like, oh my god, this is a great item, or this is that, you know. So I wonder if that's something. I wonder if that's something that SMS should also look at when for this 11-day event that the Overprime has, to kind of see what kind of items they have, you know, and kind of maybe like get a little bit of both from Pred and from Overprime, and get some, you know, moon boots and some other things going into the game, because I think that would definitely be beneficial. And Mercutio says here in chat, Fault does items great, and more items would be amazing to versatilize your builds. I would love a viable attack speed item. So I do think that, because right now, like I can switch up my builds a little bit, running as an ADC, but like I pretty much go to the same build. I just it depends on the team comp on what build order I go. Like I have my core 6 items that I have, and just depending, all right, hey, there's a lot of tanks. All right, Slayer's going second. I'm going to pick up Slayer second. Or I have like no tanks. All right, well, I probably won't pick up Slayer. I'll just, in that case, I'm going to pick up the bubble gun. We need bubble gun here instead, but I don't know. We need more items just to kind of like help. I don't know how it is. Stunt, how is it for you in your building? Like when you're playing, the role that you mainly play, like do you have the same build? Like, are you running the same thing all the time? And Goose, are you running the same thing when you're running your, you've been running mid lately. So when you run mid, are you been running the same items or you've been kind of swapping things out a little bit?
No, I try to see what the enemy team comp is, depending on, especially when it comes to defense items or shield items and stuff. If most of the enemy team is a pinky, obviously I'm gonna put physical shield or physical armor. You know what I mean? So it just, to me, it's how the game is going at that moment. I do have preferred items that I would like to have as like my first, second, and third slot, but it just depends on the gameplay at that moment.
Mike says mid started to feel like ADC. Do you agree with that, Goose?
I don't, but I'm not a great player, so that's kind of why I like playing mid now, is because there is a lot of diversity in how you can build. Like I'll look at the other team and think, okay, well, they have a Chimera and a Countess. Well, I'm going to rush Cursed Remnant first, so that maybe not Cursed Remnant, but at least the component that will decrease and give adds trauma.
All right,
Or I think, okay, I think this game's going to go a little slower, and I'm going to have time to farm. I'm not even going to take a starter item. I'm going to take the mana gem first, or whatever the fuck it is. Start stacking that shit up. Or if I think it's going to be a fast game, I'll rush APOC first. Like that's the thing that's why I've kind of switched to mid, is because there is a little bit more build diversity for mid, I think, than the other roles. Otherwise, it's like there's just a best in slot for every hero in every lane. But I don't think that's quite true for mid. And then, of course, I have my fucking T-Og Mori that.
Right? Yeah.
Yeah, it may not be the best, but goddamn if it ain't fun.
Goose will put T-Og on any character. Doesn't matter what he's playing.
I will.
Yeah.
Fucking love
T-
I want to go fast.
T-Og Murdoch with his passive.
I'll come at you like a goddamn spider monkey.
So, Ed, I know you're a support main, and I used to be a support main before 13. And I remember before 13, there wasn't much when it comes to support items. What are your thoughts on the support items and the diversity of it?
I think there's an okay diversity for the most part. I would really love to see Mana Muzzle back in this game, yes. Especially with this brawler meta and just spamming abilities and shit like that. I feel like that would be a terrific item to bring back, but I don't know why they got rid of it. I heard it was because nobody bought it, which is just a bold-faced lie. I don't know, but
I thought it was too
strong.
Yeah, too strong. I thought that's what kind of like they got rid of it, because like it was like too strong. And who was it with? Because I think if you put it on Gadget, like that was like when you put Mana Muzzle on Gadget, like it was like overpowered.
Well, I mean, it's only like a 2-second silence, though, is the other part too. I mean, you can still play a game. It's just you take somebody out of the equation for 2 seconds, which is nuts. Because right now the only real silence we have is what, Richter. I mean,
yeah.
Let's get something else. But as far as like the build diversity goes, I mean, there's tons of options on like what to do, what to build, and you just kind of have to play accordingly. Like if their Gideon's fucking massive and he just keeps throwing his ult over everybody and no one has a fix for that, buy Poda, and then you can use that to get out, or Radpoise, whatever works. There are other builds and stuff that you can run with, but I don't think enough people really use their, and I mean this in the nicest way, they don't use their brains enough to figure out, hey, these guys are kicking my ass because of this thing. Like, hey, if there's a steal and there's a gadget or like a Gideon or, whatever the sort, and they're huge ahead because they just dive on people. Buy a rad poise. It's really fun to piss people off with that. Or you rad poise right before a Sev ults you. Yeah, ha, buddy. You just hit a brick.
Windu brings up a great point, and I remember it now too. Narbash and Gideon were ints basically with Manamuz out there. Like you couldn't anything. Like you get all of a sudden you'd be like your ults are just done, and that's bad enough as it is. Like as a Narbash now, like you have to literally wait and all right, all CC's down, right? All right, now I can use my ult. Like you literally have to time that. And now it's like all right, even now all CC's down. Like well, now your Manamuz too, and it's just like. It's too hard to go against, I think. I
bring it back and put it on a longer cooldown then or some shit.
Yeah. I mean, it's the same situation as Radpoise, really.
I do agree bringing it back, and it's a balancing thing. I don't really, I mean, if we're going to take things out of the games because they're not balanced, then why is Kallari still in the game? Let's get rid of her until we get her balanced.
All of a sudden, she's a really good mid.
I really liked Mana Muzzle because it gave you a little bit of leeway to actually play the fucking game.
Mm-hmm.
Like when you're playing like Decker and there's a big team fight, you don't fucking use your stun until Gideon ults. So you can't get up plays. Oh yeah, you get all up in that bitch.
Yeah.
Well, I don't. I hold my stun for the big Gideon ult, and then it ends up being a standoff. He never uses his ult. I never use my stun, and it's like two abilities that fucking could have been used that are never used. Whereas with Mana Muzzle, I could fucking use that shit freely and know that I have Mana Muzzle to fall back on.
Yeah. And Mana Muzzle was like the only counterplay as a support, like from Muriel into a Narbash. Because as soon as I see Muriel, like if I'm supporting the other team as a Muriel, I'm fucking taking Narbash right now. Because as soon as you hit level 6, you just win lane. You buy TT first, you pull them in, you yoink them, and they're just dead. Congrats, you just got another kill for your carry who's already massive.
Right. Mike says the smart Gideon never ults.
No, you ult under tower when Countess dives you. That's when you ult, and only for the shield, not for
not to actually do any damage.
Pretty much.
Right?
Countess is a bitch.
I don't know. I still prefer Countess over Kallari because like Countess, I can see them coming. I can have time to react. Like Kallari, it's just instantly you all you hear is that noise, and then all of a sudden, bam, 2 hits and you're done. Like it just it's annoying. Like I can't stand Kallari.
Like a camouflage condom, you never see it coming.
Exactly. You can only hear it.
Fucking Kallari, yeah. I don't think Kallari's that big of a problem.
She's not. Ever since they've nerfed her to the point to where her ultimate isn't all like global, it's been easier to deal with, and she's not as oppressive. But when she had that global ult, it was as an ADC. It didn't matter where you're at. You could be full health ADC on the other side of the map, and she's coming to get you. You're done. Like there's nothing you could do.
I'll tell you where I could see Kallari becoming a problem is predecessor. I think people got shit on with Kallari because they didn't know how to use her, but people that knew how to use Kallari were so fucking overpowered in Pred.
Yeah, she was a very high skill hero.
But if you had that skill, there was no stopping you. There was no fucking stopping you.
And what's interesting, all 3 days of all the games that I played, I didn't run into one Kallari.
Really?
Yeah. It's interesting. Wow. I didn't run into one Kallari.
I like Kallari's what they do with Kallari and her invisibility. It's more camouflage there in Pred though, and you can still come up and sneak up onto people, but like once you get into that certain perimeter, like then you can see a ring below you. So it's easier for me to, as an ADC, like let me react, and I have that time to react. It's not just instant. All right, well you're on top, you've already done 2 hits, I'm dead. That's the issue with that. And so I prefer Kallari on Pred I prefer going against a Kallari on Pred than going against Kallari in Fault.
Yeah, I made the mistake and didn't remember that when I play Kallari that, hey, they can still see you if they're right there. So I was getting my ass whooped. And I was like, oh, I'm just gonna sneak right on by you and grab the ranch. And yeah, I got fucking put up against the desk and hair pulled, fish hooked, the whole 9 yards.
Little rusty trombone action.
Yeah, they got me pretty good, dude.
Mercutio says, haven't seen a viable, effective Kallari in months. And Mike says the tank meta makes it very hard for Kallari to play at the moment, which is true. But do you guys think, and we'll let Stunt come in afterwards, but Goose and Ed, do you think Kallari mid is a good thing for Fault right now?
No.
Why?
She's too squishy. If you can get poked out of lane super easy, you get knocked up once with Bellica, you're dead. Like you have your verticality, which is great, but I mean, it isn't going to help when a Gideon's just 3-rocking you, because you need to build damage, and she doesn't scale that well against energy armor, to my knowledge, or armor in general compared to the other mid laners. So you're just getting boxed consistently. You have to CS by getting up close, other than your right click, which is 30 mana, and you only have so much.
Right.
And then there's 6 different ways that a jungle is going to come in and attack you and gank your lane. And everyone knows as Kallari, that's part of the issue with her right now. She is so weak to any incoming damage that you're just dead. You're just absolutely dead. So, I mean, I don't think she's viable. Offensively, if you have a good team around you and your jungle is significantly better than their jungle and you've got like great map pressure all around, she can work, I guess. But I mean, just because it's gonna work doesn't mean you should do it. There are significantly better options, and she's not really a huge like late game hero, you know what I mean? Because like right now tanks are better. So if I had the option of a full stack, full build Sevarog or a full build Kallari, I'm gonna take that Sevarog all day long.
Right, but that's two different rules. So I'm not taking Sevarog mid.
Or like that is a fun one. Not gonna lie, that mid is pretty good. But yeah, or like a Gideon. Why would you not take Gideon or Gadget or Bellica or Countess? I mean, Countess is just gonna fucking delete that Kallari anyway. She just kicked her on her and she's dead. So
I mean, I don't play her because I don't like her, so I want her out of the game. Yeah. Goose, I'll give you a second to put your time in, and then I'll say what I was gonna say.
Oh no, same shit that I've been saying the whole time. If Kallari mid works, that's your jungler's fault.
Yeah, there you go.
Even if the jungler doesn't kill the Kallari, they're going to get her low enough that she's not going to be fucking effective.
Yeah, she won't. Yeah, because the way Kallari works is if she gets fed, then that's where she's going to be able to do her most. Yeah. I just think the way her ultimate is right now, mid would be her. If you look at it, the way just on paper, it works perfect. What you said, everything you said, Ed, is correct. Like she is too squishy. She can't CS because she's a close up melee character. It's different, right? So I think just on paper though, her ultimate works best in mid, because if she's in mid, then she literally can cover the whole map. But if she's in solo lane, she's not getting to the ADCs, and if she's jungling, she's got to be in a certain spot in the jungle to be able to get to where she needs to be. But if she's in mid, she's like, all right, I can help out whoever needs help. That's like, so on paper, it just makes sense for me for it to happen that way.
Kind of, because by the time so you're probably going to get outboxed early. I mean, obviously you're going to get outboxed, you're going to get outpoked. You're probably going to get ganked a couple times. Realistically, unless you are just a much better player or your team is much better than the other team, you're going to be so far behind by the time that like your ult range is long enough to get into those lanes, that by the time you get over there, you're going to tickle at best. I just think that having an actual caster is a much better pick than a Kallari mid.
It's the kind of pick that a really high skill player picks because they're bored.
Yeah.
Or gets pushed into it, because the reason I made that joke about Kallari being mid, all the games that I played against the Kallari mid felt like that player wanted to play Kallari and the team went, nope, she sucks too much. You better not play jungle with her. So they got stuck playing mid as a Kallari. Yeah. That's what it feels like, because she didn't help out the team at all. I played Gadget against her. She had a hard time farming. I played Gideon against her. She had a hard time farming.
Yeah. Mercutio says that she can't cover the whole map. People overestimate the range of her ult. I thought that was the description of her ult. Like when it's max range, she's able to go from lane to lane, like, you know, from out, like basically from mid lane to outer lane.
At full level, but again, you're not laning at level 16.
No, I know. I mean, I'm not like. I'm thinking more late game is what I'm thinking. You know. And
yeah.
So
but again, like Ed pointed out, she's not a late game hero. She's really good at picking off single targets, but late game you're usually grouped up, and Kallari comes into a group, she gets shut down and fucked.
Yeah,
real fast.
Yeah, she just kind of gets shit on.
Okay. Balancing. Where do you guys think the SMS is at with balancing right now? I mean, we got the crunch balance. Crunch is seeming better. What do you guys think the crunch balance is enough, or do you think he needs more?
I don't think it's a hero situation right now. I think it's an item deal. Honestly, again, going back to Stim Gaunt is every fucking tank. Sorry, I don't know why I can say it. Every tank
you can say
has Stim Gaunt right now, and it is just so frustrating because I mean, if you don't have it, you're just throwing the game. It's so much free damage on these super high cooldowns. I don't think it's a hero issue. I think it's just a balance on the items.
Okay,
personally.
So maybe it's because I don't understand. What can you explain Stim Gaunt for us people that don't understand Stim Gaunt? Because I play ADC and I don't put Stim Gaunt on.
Yeah. So what it
or
is,
should I?
Is no. No. So what it is when you use an ability, you have 3 seconds of that empowerment, or no, I think it's 8 seconds of that empowerment with a 3-second cooldown. And then when you do that, you do an extra percentage of damage, which is a huge chunk. I mean, it's by the time that you get it right away, I mean, it's like 50 to 80 damage, if not more, just from the not the bioinfuser, but the enhanced cognition, which is the item that it builds from. So every 3 seconds, you're doing an additional 100 damage early, which is huge when you're level 6, you know, or level 8 or level 10 or whatever. But late game, like with Fang Mao, you're doing an extra 300 damage just right off the bat. And that's why they're just deleting heroes so quickly. It's literally just free damage is the best way to explain it.
Now, is that a card that is like you like with Crunch, right? When Crunch you're doing to get his empowered abilities, you got to do his abilities within a certain amount of time, and then you're able to get it, which is actually pretty easy to do. All right.
Yep.
So with Stim Gaunt, is that something like you have to focus Stim Gaunt, like you literally it takes skill to do it, or is it something that just it automatically happens, like you're not worried about it? You put it on and it's pretty just
That's what people do.
And now he doesn't have a camera.
Oh, fuck. The button. Hold on. Hey.
What did you do?
And earlier, Ed didn't get censored. Ed had to say
I'm back.
every item fault tank.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, all right. I mean, I can see it being an item situation, but so maybe it is the item. I don't know. I haven't been paying attention to the Fang Maos I go against, but I think Fang Mao is still up there with his ability to be able to just spam his ultimate, you know, with low health characters or heroes that he's going against. It's just then he just gets fed, you know, easy. Yeah. It's so easy to feed with him, and I think that's an issue. I don't know if him able to have that execute on cooldown like that isn't a good thing.
Right. But I mean, that's kind of the image they wanted to go for.
Brandon says recast should use mana. I agree with that.
100% it should. I mean, it's literally a free ability that you stack shit on, like you stack your AD, and it's a lot of damage. Like, I don't know why it doesn't use mana.
Yeah, I mean I'm okay with it. You being able to
do it, but
just you multiple executes. Yeah, but like you should get to that point to where you already used your hamstring, you used your teleport, so your mana's already drained a little bit. Now you use your ultimate, and so your mana's drained again. Like at that, you're like, okay, you have to like consciously use. All right, I need to save mana because I want to be able to use I want to be able to keep on hitting this execute. And if you, by using all your, to get there, you teleport there, you hamstring, and then you use your shield, and then you use your ultimate. By that time, you should almost already be maybe have a time for one more execute with the mana you have, or you have to build mana to be able to use it even more. And by that, you're sacrificing damage or something else that you're sacrificing by building the mana item that you're putting on. I think that's what needs to happen with him. I would be 100% on board with that instead of bringing the cooldowns higher or something or whatever you need to do.
Yep. I mean, I agree. I think that there's no reason that he should be able to do, because I mean, when you get into the higher points, the execution mark is like 600 health. I mean, that's a third of an ADC's health bar. That you just jump in there right away, bam, you're done, they're dead, and then you just stacked more AD damage off it for free because you stole a kill from somebody else.
I think Fault, aside from those few like a couple items, is a really balanced game. What I think is not balanced is the player base. Like that's where the problems are coming in. Like,
yeah,
you never know who you're going to be up against, who you're going to be playing with. Like I've said it a couple times now, like I'm not that good, but I get matched with really, really good players and just get shit on.
Since we're talking about the items again, we circle back to it. Someone in the chat mentioned, what about if Alt brought back that original idea of having your aspects matching the color of items you get? Would that balance it out? Because right now you can use two different aspects that give you two different passives and abilities, right? Or some kind of a stack, and also use different color items. I mean, would that bring the balance back, do you think?
I think it takes the diversity away from you.
Yeah, it really does.
And I think having diversity is huge in this game. We were talking earlier about items and how me as an ADC, I'm limited. My build's limited as it is, and then if you're going to limit to me, to only being red, then I definitely can't build Sword of Souls, and then if I'm only building red, then then I'm only getting attack speed, and then I'm like, a lot of my red items are attack speed, so you took some items away from me because you already maxed out attack speed pretty quick. So yeah, that you can't do that as of right now. The way it sits, you can't do that. Maybe later on with more items, and more items that kind of be more diverse themselves, just individual items. That could be a possibility, but as of right now, no, I don't think you could do that.
I think sometimes putting constraints on player choice is a good thing because necessity breeds invention. However, in that particular case, I think they need to keep it open. They need to keep it the way it is now.
All right, for the next half hour, can you explain to me necessity breeds what would you say? Invention?
Yeah.
So what do you mean by necessity breeds invention?
When you're given a problem, you come up with solutions to fix it. When you constrain a player when you give a player certain constraints, they come up with creative ways to fix it. And then they feel good about themselves for coming up with a solution. And then that kind of becomes the meta.
Nice.
I mean, people kind of forget
I like that.
You're supposed to have fun playing games, and part of that fun is overcoming problems. That's one of the problems I have with both Overprime and Predecessor, having that color change whenever you can last hit a minion. That takes something away from the player.
Yes.
Like that's part of the MOBA experience, is learning that somebody did better than you because they had a higher creep score. So you learn how to better last hit. Once you master last hitting, you have something over other players that you didn't have before. And then you use that and it feels good. It feels good that you identified a problem, created a solution, worked towards that solution, and then that solution rewards you in some sort of way. That's just
I agree.
Games should work. That's why games are fun.
Yeah.
Whenever you do something like an execute mechanic on minions, that takes a bit away from the player, I think. But
all right. So you're a gamer. You call it execute mechanic. Ed, I want your opinion. I called it an execute mechanic, and I got told in a bunch of different chats that it's not an execute mechanic. Ed, what do you consider pred minion situation that it gives you that red health bar and lets you know, hey, this is able to be killed?
I don't know what other word you would describe it as other than execute. You know, like
that's
shoot this and you kill it.
Okay,
it's got this much health left.
Okay, that's what I tried saying to these people. Like I guess an execute mechanic is a certain it's like percentage base or whatever, and this mechanic is all based off of you have enough damage to do this. And I'm like, what is it?
The same shit though, right?
Right. So you wrote in all caps, I wrote in cursive. Did we not write the same thing? I don't like. That's what I'm like. I don't. That's the way I see it.
When they say execute mechanic is based off of a certain percentage of damage, right? When that minion comes down to that certain percentage of damage, that's when you shoot.
Yeah.
I mean, it ain't rocket appliances. It's pretty straightforward. You know?
All right, Windu says remove the color from items so people see 100 items instead of only being able to use 10 for the build they want. I don't know about maybe removing the colors from the items, because I think understanding what this item is real quick, I think it is good. I think being able to look at that item and like, all right, this is an attack speed item. Look at this item. All right, this is a pen item. All right, look at this item. This is a magic pen. You know, I think seeing stuff like that is good visually. I wonder if taking the colors off of the aspects would be more beneficial though, so that you don't think that you have to do that. If you put like as an ADC, you're only going to pick your red aspects, right? So now you think that you have to build all red items, right? Think of this, Ed. I know you're kind of disagreeing there for a second, but think of it as a new player, right? You see that and you think, oh, color coordination, I have to build this, but you can easily build purple, you know, as an ADC as well. You don't have to build red. So if you take your aspects and you take the colors away or change the colors to be completely different, so there's no color coordination going on with your actual item colors, I think that's more beneficial in my opinion.
I was gonna actually just say the exact opposite as far as for new players. Like if you think a new guy coming into the game doesn't understand shit now, imagine going, I have no freaking idea what's going on. At least this way you can say, okay, red is red and I picked red, so I should do red damage instead of, okay, well, I kind of want to do more damage as a support, so I just don't know. And I don't know what item this does or what's going on here, so I'm just going to take it. I think that would be absolute chaos. I mean, okay, we'll put it this way. Do you not just get absolutely irate when you see somebody in your game and you're going, what in the flying fuck is this guy building? What are you doing, dude? And then you start typing I love fault over and over. That is going to go 30 times more than it already is, because they got no guidance whatsoever. The closest thing we have to a guide and like a tutorial is just the color of your items and aspects. That is the closest thing we got right now. And you take that away and everyone's suddenly hell and Keller trying to
I'm not saying take the colors away from the items though. I'm saying keep the colors on the items. So you know that those colors are what they are. But those colors don't fit the aspects. Like right now, your purple aspect does what?
And
no,
mostly. Oh, the purple aspect. Oh yeah,
purple aspect's giving you it gives you power.
Yeah, 80 damage. Yep.
Right, but what do your purple items do? Majority pen. Yeah. So if you're building damage and pen as an ADC, that's good. But as an ADC, as a Sparrow, what are your recommended aspects? Ace and Hunter.
Yeah, I think they are. Yep.
Which are both red.
Yep.
All right. So a new person coming in, they're picking both red, and now they're limited to only red items because they're only thinking, "Hey, I'm building red."
But the purple aspects give you the impression that they are for assassins. So if you're building an assassin, you automatically gravitate towards those purple aspects. I think, like with the aspects, there's a difference between removing player agency and quality of life, and that's a fine line to balance. Mm-hmm. Having the aspects with different color coordination to help new players, that's a quality of life change. You're not taking away agency. People can still pick whatever aspect they want, but it makes it easier for new players to know what they should be building into.
Yep.
Purple is a bit of an outlier. I'll give you that, because purple is kind of its own strange thing. But you know that white is support. You know that red is ADC. You know that green is for tankiness. You know,
right.
It's pretty cut and dry, and that helps new players.
Yep.
Yeah, I guess you're right. The purple is the only one that's kind of like
on like a gray area, no pun intended. But like if you start confusing new players, okay, so like I tried Smite. I didn't really like Smite because I didn't understand the items. I didn't understand anything like that. So I just kind of got pissed off and just quit playing it. The only thing that even helped me stay like actually into it slightly was the fact that there was a little bit of guidance with the items. Other than that, I would have just been Helen Keller looking for Waldo. No idea what the fuck's going on. Just absolutely guessing. And that was my saving grace. But to like, I guess I don't know how to explain it. At least there's something there now, you know, but you don't want a super complicated build for a new player anyways. You know, you just want to, as a new player, you want to learn the basics. You know, everybody knows you're not going to just jump into a game and just be God tier right off the bat, 3-time fault champ. But like, you know, it's gonna take you a little while to learn this stuff too.
Only $2 though.
Sorry.
$2 game.
And what'd you say? I got censored. All I heard was I love fault.
Yeah. There you go.
Yeah, I don't know if I value the opinions of a $2 gamer. I'm just
show you $2, buddy.
Like I said, it wasn't specific. It just said build a team, so I can take the first $1 and call it a night.
God damn it!
Substituted.
So, all right, yeah. So I agree. I item balance, but I also think when it comes. I think Crunch is affected with the item balance. I think Feng Mao needs to have that mana usage with his execute, right? So that's I think that'd make a huge difference. There really isn't. I mean, those are the only two characters I think really are kind of like overpowered at this point. Well, I mean, somebody was saying in chat Greystone. How do you guys feel about Greystone? Do you think Greystone's like overpowered right now?
As an ADC with a good phase, yeah. I don't know if you guys have played that at all.
No, I have not played that at all.
Yeah, you just don't play the fucking game against it. If you have a good, because his passive, you know, like he just gets more health regen every time he gets poked. So then you go, oh, hey, FaZe, link up to me, haha. And then next thing you know, as you're fucking fighting, you're like, I got 30 health regen going on here. And he's regenerating for more damage you're doing. And then he just jumps on you and you're dead. Woohoo, fun game. Fun and abrasive. Fun and engaging.
All right, so we'll go back to that in a second, though. But like this person was talking about Greystone being able to basically just, you know, once he gets Bale Armor, he's able to just basically split push the whole game. And by that time, with it being the tank meta that it is, there's not much you can do about it. So,
yeah, that's a Bale Armor issue more than it's a Greystone issue. Yeah.
Okay. Greystone was a split pusher in Paragon.
Yeah, he's always been a split pusher, but like I feel like I is it the meta that it is right now because of being a tank meta that he's able to benefit even more as a split pusher? Is that what it is, or is it is his passive plus these items that he's putting on? Is that what's making it too much? I think it's more of the meta. I think we come back to this tank meta. We need to get rid of. You know, we need to start getting away from that meta, and you know, I think we need to have it be more of a an ADC meta right now. Like the tanks had enough. We need ADCs to be strong. That might be biased talk right now, but that's different. We won't talk about that.
We just want Wukong. That's what you want.
Give me
what?
Wukong for the love of God.
Wukong,
please.
All right, hold on. How do we get stun out of here? The fuck making that
Okay,
comment?
Terra. I meant Terra.
Yeah, well, that's more of a tank meta again. But hey, I'll take Terra. I'm all about that.
That both Jack and shit.
Greystone's on.
What? Ant? What? Come on now.
They're
like, if anything,
Definitely a grandma.
yeah, badass grandma. Is there any armor shred items? Yes, there's 2. Is there more than 2? I know 2. Is it ADC? Demon swords? Oh yeah, demon sword. That's 3. So demon sword, DB rifle, and Titan Slayer are your armor shreds that you're gonna get. Is there another one, Ed, that I'm missing or no? I know demon sword.
Not that I can think of, but your hunter shreds armor too. That red aspect.
Yeah.
Ace shreds armor.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, you have the aspect of Ace that will give you armor shred. It's like a 6 to 8% or something or whatever it is. For a certain attack that happens. But first time chat, thank you so much for that. Appreciate you. I think they are worried about the ADC's off lane. I think something ADC meta. I mean, and let's just make it to where we can have ADC in every lane. Let's everybody pick ADC, just have a good time. Let's do that.
No. Sounds terrible.
Versus all tanks.
I have a hard enough job as a support.
I like how fucking predecessor had ADC listed as expert and fucking support listed as
beginner. Yes.
Other fucking way around, bro.
The solo and support were beginner.
Yeah. So, somebody brought up in Gen Chat, I saw this earlier today, and somebody asked about Bale Armor. Is Bale Armor, if you got Bale Armor on every character, does the hero, the enemy hero, are they taking 5 ticks from that?
He's getting melted.
Right. So then, with it being a tank meta, somebody was saying, "All right, who's with me? Let's go in. We'll pick all 5 tanks, and we'll all put Bale Armor. We'll just run around chasing people."
Yep, it's a total dick move, but you can do it. I mean, if there's no bigger way to BM somebody of just like I am a better human being and player than you at the same time, it's just watching them tick down to death from Bale Armor.
Could you imagine? So what are the 5 we got? You have Crunch, you got Richter, you got Steel, Severog, and then who else we would have?
Just go Greystone.
Go Greystone. Or no, Narbash
in there.
Throw Narbash in there. Get the heals, and just be able to run around with the whole team. You get healing everybody as you guys are all just killing people.
Yeah. Or imagine like a couple TTs in there too, just yoink him around like he's nothing. Just
that's what Mike said. 5 Bale Armor and 5 TTs, and then everybody have Teog.
Oh God.
Just the speed boost up to the people. All right, let's go get them.
That's when you say fuck it and start pushing lanes.
Yeah. So, all right. You guys got anything you guys want to talk about personally?
I'm down to like straight wild turkey, like right here.
Nice.
So yeah, I'm about Dunskies.
We can't see the cup, so we don't believe it.
Yeah, I'm gonna just see you chug.
It's not see through like the other one. So all we know, it's actually empty, and you're just acting like you're drinking it.
It's just fucking tea. Green tea at that.
Yeah.
The weakest of teas.
So, all right. Let's put our plugs in then. Stunt, what you got?
I mean, it's always a pleasure being here with you guys. I like the direction Fault is headed. I don't know what to say. It's just it's a fun game. It's very exciting to play. I mean, obviously we all test other games, but I like the direction they're heading. I like what they're doing with the game. So just keep it up. You have my full backing.
All right. Ed, what you got?
Yeah, shout out Sockcap because I didn't give him a shout out earlier. Sorry, buddy. I was too busy thinking of outboxing you because you're shit. Yeah, Yeah. No, like Fault's going in a good thing. I'm interested to see what's going to happen with Overprime here. I mean, obviously we're going to get a big drop off of players during it, but the big thing is what's going to happen afterwards too. We are going to get a giant new influx of players, just like we did from Pred. I don't know if you guys just creep Gen Chat nearly as much as I do, but there was a ton of new people.
Oh yeah,
playing or like asking questions, talking about the game, saying, "Hey, I just picked it up. I never even heard about this game." That's 3 days of Pred. Now imagine 11 days of another game. Hopefully we have the same turnout or even half the turnout. Because I mean, without giving too many numbers, I know there were almost like 1,000 copies of the game sold.
There you go.
After Pred. I mean, that's triple our player base. Woo! So granted, those guys are now in our games at 300 elo a pop, but they're learning. That's what we have teachers for.
Just keep telling me you love them.
I love Fault, yeah.
So, all right, but any plugs though? You got anything coming up? Stream coming up? You got,
I'm gonna do a Pokemon stream coming up here soon. I know.
All right. Anyways, Goose, what do you got?
Son of a bitch. Yeah, big Pokemon stream coming. I don't know the exact day yet. I'm gonna have my hot friend, the token hot chick, Sam. She's gonna come and help me out with that again.
Is she gonna be like, Vanna White? This is the the Charmander.
Have you ever watched the streams?
I've watched Balix's because I like him more than you.
That's all right. I understand, but literally, her and we just get pissed drunk.
I've seen Balix and Russ, and I didn't know you've done yours actually. Sorry.
Yeah, I've done a couple, but yeah, we just get super drunk and open Pokemon cards and yell at each other, and that's about it. It's actually a really fun time.
All right, I have to ask you a question. I don't do anything Pokemon. I don't do anything Digimon. I don't do any of this. I know you and Russ are getting into it. I saw something on Facebook. It said a fully evolved Pokemon will always lose against a fully evolved Digimon. Is that true or false?
Yeah, it's true. That's absolutely fucking true.
So Digimon is better. Got you. Okay. All right. Were you done then? You got your Pokemon stream coming up. Are you streaming Fault anytime soon, or are you just done with this game?
No, I'll stream it again. I've just been playing other games, just taking a little break or whatever else. But I do have a really fun surprise for a big goal with my Pokemon stream. Hopefully we hit that. If we do, awesome, and it's gonna be a lifelong thing if we hit it, and if we don't, bummer. Oh well, we tried. So,
are you going to shave off your mustache if you hit it?
No.
He's going to give us the second part of that marketing video.
Can you? Hey, no, don't say it. Don't say it. Let's save the surprise, but give us a little more of a hint than what you just said.
Give us a little taste.
Yeah.
God. I don't know how to explain this without
save the excitement for your stream, but tease that excitement to get them to go to your stream.
God, I have an idea, but it's either going here or right there, baby.
Oh,
shit.
All righty. Gotcha. All right.
So got a fucking cramp standing up. I'm in pain right now.
Welcome to getting old. Speaking of that, Goose.
The oldest motherfucker in Fault. God damn it. No, you can look me up, Mangoose. No, it's just Mangoose on YouTube. Enjoy the fucking videos of Ricky Tikki Tavi being the shit out of a cobra. Maybe you'll find me, maybe you won't. I don't know. Do a lot of gameplay videos, but those are kind of just filler to keep the algorithm happy. Look for my more informative videos about all of the various Paragon remakes. I try to be as unbiased as possible. Over to you, Bearded.
Yes. Speaking of YouTube, right now I'm waiting for this fucking HD version to process, and so I can get my next video to put out here. So that's gonna be going out here. It's probably gonna be 3 p.m. tomorrow. Is what it's looking like because it's taking forever to process. I was gonna try to put it out today, just before for the minions, but it didn't work out. So as soon as that process, so check out my my YouTube as well. The Cooch 4, not the Cooch 4. Oh my gosh, who the fuck is that? The Bearded Wolverine, as you see here in this live Twitch as well, same as that on YouTube. And this video will be going on YouTube over at the WinduTheMace, and it also goes on podcast style in Apple Podcasts, Google Podcast, and Spotify podcast.
Fucking sub to that podcast. I still haven't.
So make sure you check us all out there. Other than that, that's it for the show tonight. I appreciate you all coming hanging out. I really appreciate all of the feedback we got with live chat. If you've gotten this far in the YouTube video or even the podcast, as Windu says, put a GG in chat. Let us know what you thought and give us some feedback. All right. Appreciate y'all stopping by.
Love you. More than a friend.
More than a friend.
Nice.